like since I lived in New York, I think I was like, so let's get some culture. And my mother is having trouble walking because of her ankles, so it's just
Uh,
like we're not going to be able to do that stuff for like ever, you know.
is it anything that she can get help with, or is it just like something that's going to keep on being a problem?
It's like a problem for the rest of her life. She doesn't have like cartilage in like one of her ankles
Oh,
anymore. So
no.
yeah, it sounds terrible, but that she has operations and shit on it. It's just she's really not that old is the thing too. She just it. My mother never met an elective surgery she really didn't like. She stresses out about them, but then it's like, I need this, I need that. So
Well, I get you. I get you. Some people just are like that's where their attention goes. I have an aunt who's like that with not with surgeries, but with like other things. Um, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm glad you got them out of the house and you did something fun today.
yeah, it was just like the deterrent was always that it was like an hour away from our house. So we ended up taking two separate cars, and my mother came with me, and I was legit ready to fucking kill her. And then she almost got me. She was screaming when I was trying to pull into the place where we went out to dinner, and I almost got into a car accident over it. And she's like, "You almost got yourself into a car accident," and I was like, "No, but it was really your fault." So I almost left them at the restaurant, and it was like this sports bar my dad wanted to go to because he really didn't want to go out with us at all. So it was just a long, I would say
You wouldn't get
I got
tired.
there like noon, and then I left them at like it was before 6 o'clock, and that isn't all day, but I was like physically tired. And it was like we were moving around the sculpture park too, but it's also not that big. But it's a place where if David and I get married, we might get married at that place. So,
Aw,
yeah,
that's cute. Are you guys talking about that?
a little bit. So, yeah, but it wouldn't be, we've talked about it to say like we're not doing it yet. It would be like a while from now.
All
So, I
right.
mean, how long did you and Jen live together before you got married?
7 years.
Yeah, so then, you know,
Yeah, no, it's you don't need there's no rush. There's no rush for anything. If you guys are enjoying each other's company, that's great. Um, we went to Pride today. That was fun.
yeah, that must have been exhausting too. Did you volunteer like you have in past years?
No, no, my friend did, and I thought about doing it, but I just was like, I don't have time for this shit. And it was a huge thing this year. They like added events, like they added a youth pride, and they added like all this other shit, and they changed the parade route, and a lot of it was really different, and the parade was super long, and it's always really long, but this was like really really long, and it was just a lot, and it seemed like so many people were out all over the place. Like it was like everybody was everywhere because they changed the parade so that it doesn't end in the village, but it started like between 19th and 14th kind of, and then it ended that it went through the village and then it went up the other way, so it went down like 8th Avenue and then like over through the village and then up Fifth Avenue. It was, I don't know what the fuck was happening. It was weird, but everybody was just like all over the place. The whole everywhere. It was just tons and tons of people. It was crazy.
This like so gay. I went to well, I was at Boston Pride because David ended up getting the day off, and that was just um that was like fine. We got to the block party pretty late because we went to this bartender he knows was having a birthday before that, and it was actually in sort of a nicer chill place that I've walked by that I haven't been, but it was like an outdoor park, but like they
Mm-hmm.
have a bar there and everything, so that was kind of fun. His ex-boyfriend was there, which was just like a little bit weird, and I was also, it wasn't that his ex-boyfriend was there, it was generally I was kind of in an antisocial mood that day, and so I don't know why I even went out there with him. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, partially it was to drive him, but he could have gone in by himself, and I should have just had him do that. I like the girl whose birthday it was.
Right.
So then he was at work on a Saturday, And I actually know this really sexy dude who works on the Rachel Maddow show, who I met at a party one time in one of those like New York stories. So I've talked to him on Facebook a little bit before, but he just like, it popped up in my feed that he was in Providence. And then this kid, there's like a 18-year-old kid that David works with sometimes that I like, but David doesn't. And so he was going up there and he asked if anybody was going up there. And then I asked my friend Mike, like out of nowhere, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about driving up to Providence. Do you want to go for Pride? And so we went. And I ended up running into the kid that David worked with for like the first hour. Then I left to go meet my friend. And then like we were dancing at the end and I saw the New York kid. And there must have been Rose. I didn't end up talking to him, but because he was with like a crew of like a dozen people. And I was like, well, this is going to be weird. And then I have to leave my friend to go say hi to him. But I texted him after and I was like, I think I saw you. And it was him because he told me it was written on his shirt. So it was like really late at night. I think I got back at like 2 a.m. because it's also like an hour to drive to Providence. But I have to say, like, I felt like I exercised my pride muscles. I thought a little bit about going to New York this weekend. I won't lie.
It was too crazy though. It was too crazy. And like, so we just went to my friend Brian's house because he usually has people come through, you know? And he said people could come over between 1 and 5. And so we went like 1:15. Like, you know, we were like, we're going to go early and then we'll head out. And so we went over there at 1:15, 1:20, and nobody was there. Like nobody was there. And then we're like, okay, well, people probably like trickle in. So we were just sitting with him and chatting with him and his mom. And then a couple other people came at like 2, and then nobody else came and nobody else came and nobody else came. And then suddenly at like 3:15, 3:30, people just like en masse started like pouring into this place, like to his house. And I was like, where the fuck was everybody? And it turned out everybody had been at some other dude's party, which I thought was like kind of sketchy.
Weird.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It's
like,
a little rude, yeah.
And it's fine if you want to go to 2 parties, but like if everybody is at one party, then I don't know, like somebody should also go to the other party. So
or like people should better coordinate each other's parties.
Right. And I mean, they don't, or maybe these guys don't know each other very well. I don't think they do. But if you are the one going to both parties, then you should, I don't know. It just seems kind of sketchy. And then it was like 3:30. So Jen and I left. And then we went to meet up with Scott, my friend Scott, and we had some food with him.
Oh, wait, Scott, your friend that I know?
Scott Sussman?
Yes.
Yeah, him. Oh, we just had some food with him.
Does he live in New York now? The last time?
He moved back to New York.
Oh, okay.
So he's living back in New York, and he kind of feels like weird about it. He's kind of like not that into it yet. And I'm
like living in New York?
Yeah, because it's hard.
I thought he was like dating somebody and he was living with them.
Scott Sussman?
Yeah. No?
No. He had this longtime boyfriend a long time ago who he may have lived with for a while on Long Island, but then he moved to Orlando.
Yeah, I thought he moved to Orlando for that guy.
No, he moved to Orlando for a job.
Okay.
And that guy and him broke up, but they're still friends.
All those, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you're very good friends. You probably, you know. Exactly. Anyway, and then today I was telling him all about Riverdale. I was explaining Riverdale to him. He didn't even know what it was.
Well, you know, I think that people who lead, you know, like busy lives don't care.
He watched Rise. He watched all of Rise.
He watched Rise. Okay, he's
not that big.
Didn't they cancel that? I think
he said it was terrible.
Yeah. It to be fair though, it looked terrible. And then I will say the face you made after I told you that I watched This Is Us, I actually never watched a This Is Us episode again. After I find out how Milo Ventimiglia died, I was like, okay, I'm done. I scratched the itch. Like they had that mystery. I'm done with it. It was kind of a dumb story. And it was like, I don't know. I like Mandy Moore, but not enough to keep going with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I like the little kid versions of all the siblings. They're
Right.
my favorite part of it. Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of emotional investment. All right. So should we do you want to do an episode? Do you want to watch a show? You want to do this?
Yeah, we can. I just don't want, if you're really tired from your day, I don't want to like have you do it. You know, you look like you're ready for podcasting all of a sudden though. You like let your hair down, you're just like ready for, I mean, we can I feel like we can power through episode
We
2.
can. We can do it. It's on Netflix now, right? What episode are we
Yeah.
doing?
I think, well, we want to go in chronological of the ones we haven't done. So we're going to do 2 and then we do 3, I think, again. Because we've done 4, but we haven't done um I have to go back. We've only done like 4 or 5 season 1 episodes. We did the pilot
Let's
and
see.
then
Let's see. Let's go to
you have your chart too that you made.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to it right now. Dun, dun, dun. We did. I don't think we did the. Did we do the pilot? I guess we did the pilot.
We did do the pilot.
And then we did.
The pilot was the very first episode we ever did for the show.
Wow, that makes sense. Did we do second one? I don't think we did the second.
We didn't. That's why I'm saying we're on episode 2.
Okay, you're right. We're on episode 2.
And then are we doing another one before you go to Maine? Are we just playing it by ear to see what we can
No, because I have to leave on Friday night.
Okay.
And then we're going to be driving to Maine on Saturday, and then we'll be in Maine. So we could do one when we're in Maine.
Okay.
But let's see how. I'm definitely not going to be here Friday night because we're going to Maine.
Okay.
I'll be in Connecticut. All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
I think I have it playing now.
Wait. Hold on, let me turn on my CC. Let me turn on the audio.
That CW logo is very loud. I'm getting the whole bottle of wine. This is that one where like Archie's all half naked at the beginning and then he like runs like all half naked at the beginning. It's like so gay.
Well, I was showing Scott was like, "What's Riverdale? I don't know what you're talking about." And I was like, "Oh, it's like Archie and Veronica and everything." And he was like, "What? I don't know what you're saying." And then I was like, "Archie's supposed to be very sexy." And then I showed him a picture and he was like, "Oh, I could watch this."
Yeah.
Of course you could. Shirtless Archie will get all the boys to the yard.
Should we start? It's starting now.
All right. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Rose.
I am so excited to see you again. It's been a long time.
I know. And you know what? It's just to, I think, pay homage to that. It's been a long time. We're taking it all the way back to episode 2.
Riverdale episode 2, A Touch of Evil is what it's called.
I will just say, I forgot how odd looking Jason Blossom was. Like it hits me every time I see his face.
He does look weird. He has such a delicate face. We're going back in time.
It's okay. I don't even mean to cut you off, but like I've already gotten to half naked Archie like in his bed, and it's not that he is just in his underwear, it's that he is so sweaty. He's so sweaty. Okay, continue.
Okay, first of all, it's season 1 Riverdale. Season 1, episode 2, fresh off the boat. All these kids look so much younger.
They do.
Even just from a season before, they looked a lot younger. Archie looks like a fetus. Betty looks like a child. Jason has a weird face. Jason's dead. They still don't know what the hell happened with that. It's just, we're just getting into it all. And of course, Archie and Grundy were going at it.
I know. I was like, we have to go all the way back to Grundy.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason, the thing about Jason is that he looks kind of like girlish. His lips are so pink. What? was that? And I think he was supposed to be thought of as like attractive,
I
but
feel I feel like if I had said that, you would have said that I was being very like gender normative or something. If I had said that.
well, I guess you're right. But I also think his lips look very pink. You're right. Archie's very sweaty in his bed, in his little
It
like.
just hold on, I'm a little bit ahead of you. He only gets sweatier. In the scene with Grundy, he is I would describe him as glistening. He's just so sweaty.
He's tossing and turning. He needs to talk to Betty. I don't remember. Well, okay. And Betty is also in bed. She looks great.
She
They all
does
look
look
great. And this is before Betty and Jughead got together as well.
Yes, which is the part of the reason I just want to do all the season 1 episodes is just to comment on the Betty Jughead, because I that was really what drew me into the show initially. Like I loved them together. I will say part of this is like Archie with shorter hair, because his hair really grew out and was long in season 2. He looked better with shorter hair.
He looked good. He goes so Betty. He wants to talk to Betty. Betty won't talk to him. So instead, he puts on shorts, no shirt, and goes for a run across town to Mrs. Grundy's house to talk about the shots that were fired while they were fucking in the woods.
I think they were just having a picnic makeout. It like they only really fucked in her car. I'm
You
sure
don't
that
think
was
they
going to be.
really got down to it? Come on. Why would they not? What's to stop them?
You're right. They clearly go immediately to the bone zone.
Of course. Of course. This is Grundy we're talking about. You know she can't keep her hands off the youngins. So they I guess are struggling with, are they supposed to tell somebody they heard shots when they were in the woods, but everybody would ask, why were you guys in the woods? But why couldn't just one of them say I was in the woods? They don't have to both be in the woods. Archie could have just been like, oh, I was in the woods, which I think is what he eventually does, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
This is when Archie's dad was still trying to parent him. So he's like, why were you running around in the middle of the night? And Archie's like, oh, I just had to go for a jog to tire myself out. If you were a high school, what, sophomore? Junior?
I believe they're sophomores. They're either sophomores or freshmen. It also, we're getting to the point where it's silly that the Riverdale kids are in high school at this point, because it's been 2 seasons and it feels like it's been 20 years. Am I wrong?
Yeah, even Betty's mom looks younger. Like, I mean, Mad Dynamic was only like probably 2 years younger, but everybody looks so fresh and unblemished yet in the Riverdale world. Um, Betty's parents are still together. It's all new. It's all new. Betty's mom is trying to say, don't see Archie, don't talk to Cheryl, don't talk to Veronica, stay away. Who's she supposed to
Okay,
talk to?
so
There's
this is
people in town.
it's true. It's true. But this is kind of a silly question, but because I don't know as much about Archie comics as I should to do this podcast. But are Archie and Jughead like best bros
Yes.
in the comic? Okay.
Yes.
So that's where that comes from. Because I know Kevin was a character who was invented later.
Yes.
Or he was at least invented as a gay character later. I don't know if he was always in the comics.
Right, right. No, Jughead and Archie were always best buddies. That's his buddy. That's his pal. That's his best friend. That's the guy that goes around with him all the time.
Yeah, like I will say it's kind of fun to watch the second episode because they're dressing everyone. Like everyone looks very much like the archetypal Archie characters, right? Like when you look at this from a glance, you know exactly who Archie is. You know who exactly Veronica is and who Betty is. And I would say they've like Betty's look is somehow very like severe prep. Like
Yeah.
it has definitely softened over time. And I will say, like, they're still trying to make I would also say Veronica's like funeral conservative. I don't know how else to describe it because she wears a lot of dark colors that go with her hair, but it is like she doesn't look like she's 40s dressing for a board meeting, which has always been that's been some of my takeaway of her in season 2. Especially there's that episode when she like early on she has conversations with her dad and she's wearing outfits that are so crazy. Like this is like a black lace. She's got these black lace sleeves.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Betty has received a package at school, a package. She's received roses from Veronica. Is that correct?
Yellow roses. Our yellow friendship? What are yellow
Yellow is
roses?
for friendship. Yellow is for friendship. And she also had cupcakes flown in from New York.
Oh, this is
Veronica.
when Cheryl Blossom does the morning announcement. I forgot. I forgot. There's so much of this, guys, that I forgot.
Oh my goodness. So Veronica and Archie are like Veronica and Archie
Oh God, they just showed the pussycat's hair.
Veronica has to apologize to Betty. Can you explain what she's apologizing to Betty for?
Yes, for making out with Archie in the closet in the pilot when they were
Right.
in 7 Minutes of Heaven. Oh my God, I know. Wait, I'm like, I don't know anything about Archie comics, but I can like tell you everything that happened in the show.
That's perfect because we're talking about the show. And then Archie also, like, Betty wanted to get with Archie and Archie has rejected her. And that was like awkward for them. But she's like, no, whatever. We're still friends. It's fine. So they're getting over a big, like, awkward hump. And uh Betty's like, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna let it all go. And it's fine. Doesn't matter. We're just gonna move on.
It was also the awkwardness between Betty and Archie is because Betty basically confesses her feelings at the end of the pilot, and Archie's like, "You're my friend."
Yes.
And this is like, to me, it was hard for them to establish weird conflict in the beginning of the show. So like they basically gloss over it. Like Betty, it's mainly because Alice tells Betty in the beginning, I don't want you hanging around with any bad influences. No Cheryl Blossom, no Veronica, and no Archie. And then in true form, Betty immediately goes to Archie's house and asks him to walk her to school because Betty's going to do the opposite of whatever Alice tells her, which is great.
Exactly. Like just like 2 seconds later. Cheryl Blossom.
This is like
Great.
this is before her lips were the full red. Her look is it's the side part of her long red hair, and
Yeah, she doesn't have quite as like intense. She's wearing like more regular clothes. She's not quite on blood red leather jacket level yet. But she's
I'm watching. Oh my god, I'm watching all of the lab partner stuff. I feel like I'm a couple seconds ahead of you.
yeah, they're in science class.
Yeah. Oh my god.
There are also other people there talking to Cheryl who never appear again, like as if there were other people that went to this school, but there aren't. I mean, they just talked to Cheryl about her dead brother for a minute. I guess they were perhaps test vixens or something, but they never make it to another episode. Sorry, guys, too boring. You're just
I
there
always
for Cheryl's exposition about the river and who drowned and whatever.
I Cheryl uses the word twin tuition. Rose, I can't. It's like so hard for me. Oh yeah, and Cheryl just goes right in and dissects. I don't even think she dissects the frog. Doesn't she like fucking stab it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Kevin and Moose. It's the beginning of learning about Kevin and Moose as well, because Kevin and Moose were getting it on down by the riverside, and Moose wants to keep it going, and Kevin is like, I don't know.
Oh, this is interesting too, because this is like a callback, is that Alice goes to the mortician and gets like stuff for her article for the, what's the paper? I forget the paper's name.
The Banner?
The Register?
The Banner?
I don't know. You're probably right.
I don't know.
But you know what's interesting is I didn't even realize this, is that Kevin really shuts Moose down. Moose kind of wants to get with him, and he's like, you should be with girls. So in this weird way, it's like Kevin was like, no. You know, and I never really, I think looking back on the show, I kind of forgot that he shut it down so severely. Oh my God, Archie with a guitar. The real problem of doing any season 1 episode is that we have to deal with this.
A big part of this episode, besides Archie's musical stylings, is that they found Jason's body, and he's gonna get autopsied as we speak, as we watch. And he and Cheryl's obviously bent out of shape about this. She wants to find her brother's killer. And now that we know more about Cheryl, you can kind of understand why she's being so intense about it. It's like the one person who showed her love, and he's dead, and everybody's being weird about it to her, and everybody's insinuating that they were incestuous or that something happened to him that was like very untoward, and it's all very fucked up, and she's very alone. So we feel for you, Cheryl. Don't worry. You'll get somebody to snuggle you soon. Archie is about to sing a dumbass song outside. Everybody's watching him. Kevin and Betty and Veronica, his 3 admirers. It's sad. It's sad.
God, everybody looks so good. I will say this, as not into Archie as a character as I was, he looks great. He just looks great. And also, this is one of those, he's wearing a shirt that is on like one of those baseball shirts. It's like gray with the red sides. It is so tight. It is so tight on him. His clothes, I swear to God, the costume designer of this show must be like, we're going to cut off your circulation. We'll get you out of the clothes as soon as the scene is over. Like, he must be so uncomfortable most of the time.
Yeah. How does he even get that shirt over his shoulders?
I don't know.
The forearms are even tight. Betty can't handle Archie's musical stylings. Betty can't even listen to this song. It just brings up too much emotions. She wants him too bad. She thinks of them in a booth at Pops, and they're not. It's just everything that she wanted has been crumbled down before her, and she can't take it. She has to leave. I feel for Betty, but Betty, it's just Archie. You can get another boyfriend, and you will. Don't worry about it.
Grundy also does not look old enough to be a teacher.
Well, she could be 24. You could be a teacher at 24. You could be a teacher at 23.
She doesn't look old enough to have her hair in a bun like that and to have glasses that big. That was clearly a choice to make her look more like a teacher and look older.
Also, she's not really who she says she is. She's somebody else entirely.
I mean, are you sad she's dead? Because I'm watching this episode and I'm not.
No, she's a predator. And she also dresses bad. And so, no, I'm not sad she's dead. And she's boring as fuck. All she did was fuck Archie. She didn't do anything else. She just told him to lie.
She plays like... What instrument was she playing?
A cello.
A cello, thank you.
She plays the cello, and she gets killed with a cello bow. So Archie wants to know if their relationship is real, because she's telling him not to tell about what they heard in the woods. But Cheryl is like, listen, if you have information about my brother, you should tell it. So he doesn't know what to do because he's Archie, and he's really easily influenced. I mean, from the fucking get-go, it's Grundy influencing him, then it's Veronica influencing him, then of course it's Mr. Lodge. Sometimes
you mean his greatest love of all? Is
What?
Mr. Lodge. Oh my God, this is cheerleading. This is Veronica with the cheerleading routine. Yeah, you're not there yet. You're about to be. Oh my God, the Vixens like pulsing their butts at Veronica is everything. Are you seeing it now?
I'm right there. I'm
Okay.
right there.
Wait until she gets to the end of the hallway and then they're kind of wiggling their butts at her. Do you see it?
Cheryl refers to herself as a beautiful, exotic hothouse flower.
I agree.
But she needs star power. She needs the Pussycats. I am glad that the Pussycats are in this. I did love when they all looked at each other in the bathroom when they heard about Jason being found. Their hair did look good. Everybody's hair looks great. Makeup and hair has always been on point, but I'm glad.
I feel like this is before their funeral. Their Vixen funeral attire had been purchased. Like this seems very much. It seems more like they have high school outfits than the wackiness that was season 2.
Yeah, you're right. And their shirts are not quite as tight as
I
they
feel like Archie has a variation of the same shirt that they're wearing.
Archie is just wearing a Vixen shirt. That's all.
Yeah.
He just borrowed a girl's shirt, and that's all he's wearing.
I'm going to take this moment to ask you just a philosophical question. Like, first of all, I feel like we should leave it open to do some Sabrina episodes.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So that's A. And then B, I feel like they are going to probably like cross over or at least have one character on another show at some point. I mean, like, are you into that idea? Because I am. I think it's going to be a good idea.
About Archie crossing over to Sabrina?
I mean, like having Betty and Veronica or something like on a Sabrina episode.
I don't think they are going to. I think
they're not planning on it yet. They're being very like maybe.
I don't think they're going to do it. That's my guess, but maybe that's just me.
I don't know.
So we should talk about Sabrina because I'm curious and I want to know what happens. So
I'm enjoying the casting choices. I'll just say that. I think some of them are great. But this was like a thing they did with all the DC Universe shows, is that at one point there was like a Constantine show and they canceled it. And like to the point where like there was only a couple episodes and no one ever really saw it. And then they're bringing the guy back now on Legends. They had him guest star in a bunch of the shows. And then he's like going to be a regular next year. So I feel like, again, maybe like Sabrina won't be super successful or something, and it will like be on for a year, and then like Sabrina will be in Riverdale. I would be into that. I don't think the actress would do it, but
I think it's just a totally different genre. Like I know this guy who's writing on it, and he is. It seems like it's going to be a horror genre and it's going to have a different tone. So I think it's like when
you think it's going to be more horror than Riverdale is.
Yes, like more explicit horror and witches and all that, stuff. Like when Pretty Little Liars spun off into Ravenswood, it was a totally different genre, and I did not want to see them cross over. So I would prefer if it really is going to be more of a horror show, personally. We'll see. And based on this guy that I know who's writing for it, I would assume it's probably more of a horror show. Anyway, Archie and Veronica are like falling in love or whatever. I'm not that into it the second time around.
He clearly plays it like that he's way more interested in her. He did early on. He clearly is very bewitched by her, I'll say, because we're talking about Sabrina, so I feel like I have to use that word. This is lit very beautifully with the sun. I think that was accidental. Yeah, it's like they almost look like they're backlit from the sun setting. It's really cute.
Archie, I forgot about this. Archie almost failed the second grade.
Yeah.
And Betty dragged him with her to the third grade because she tutored him every day.
I do. Oh, he kissed her and asked her to marry me.
Aw. Aw, Archie, you already proposed to one girl and now you're leaving her high and dry in high school. Not cool.
I still, you know what? I do think that I don't know if it's going to be when the show runs out of things to do or if it's going to be a plan. I like it's in the bones. I feel like Archie, and there will be a time for Archie and Betty.
Of
I think at
course.
some point in the show. Well, it's just that's sad to me about what's going to happen Jughead and Veronica.
Speaking of what's gonna
Oh
happen.
my god. Yeah, we're at the same part.
Cheryl straddles her cousin Betty to put makeup on her and gets
Oh my god.
super into her face. As she tilts her head back. She's like on her. Cheryl likes the ladies, and she has this whole time. She's too close to her cousin, but maybe she didn't know it was her cousin back then. I don't know.
Can I just say
Cousin.
No, I feel like some part of her knows that, like, again, I think she did Jason's makeup the same way. Like, is that fair to say? Like,
She
they
is.
are the best part of this is that they're framed so close to each other. Like the close up on them is so close that, like, as an audience, we're uncomfortable. Like,
Oh my
we're
God,
just
yeah.
uncomfortable watching this. Do you know what the third one is? The third one is the first Velma Betty wig with the that's when they put Chuck in the hot tub.
Oh, when they put him in the hot tub. That's
That's
third
the next
one?
that's the next one we're gonna do, Rose. Isn't that
Wow.
exciting? Yeah.
Wow.
That was the third episode.
Oh, the Betty and Cheryl does not go to a romantic place, though. Cheryl backs up off of her after she says, I think your sister shot my brother.
Yeah.
And then Betty is very upset. And then Betty gets in her face. They're so close to each other and they're both menacing each other. I do like Betty and Cheryl as a team up. They're both like very unhinged and intense, and they oppose each other very well, but they can also help each other out. So that was an interesting thing to do in the second episode. Jughead is upset because Archie ditched him over the summer, and he's like, we're not even friends anymore. What's going on? You and Grundy were fucking. Why didn't you tell me? Because he saw them at school.
I like it when he says I like her and Jughead's reaction. In the subtitles it said scoffs.
Yeah, because Archie's like a little child. I like her. We were at the Sweetwater River. Jughead looks so tiny.
I know. He's somehow, I'm going to say this right now. They're all still young and they look young, but they look like he looks so much younger, him in particular. And it's also like Archie somehow is towering over him.
You know what I think? He's skinnier. I think Cole Sprouse was skinnier, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Not that he's like not skinny now, but he just seems like he like filled out in some way.
He also had that suspenders thing going on behind him. Do you remember when they were doing that?
Yeah, Jughead did wear suspenders in the comics, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
Well, and also he's not wearing a leather jacket; he's wearing like a cloth jacket, so it's a whole different look for Jug. Plus, he was sleeping.
I don't know. These are the episodes where I didn't like Jughead. I didn't like him until after the drive-in.
We didn't know that much about him. He's not even that much. He just sort of like he just gets in Archie's face about stuff, and that's probably why we didn't like him that much, because we didn't know his whole fucking deal. We didn't know anything about
angsty. He's just so fucking angsty for me.
Yeah. Yeah. He just goes around being angsty and like asking Archie, why are you making the choices you're making, you know?
Well, it's like Archie already has 2 girls on his dick. He really doesn't need a third. Oh my god, I forgot about Alice coming in burning sage.
She's burning sage because Cheryl Blossom was in Betty's room. Oh my god, it's insane. It's insane.
God, Alice looks great.
This is before Betty knows that. I mean, okay, Polly and Jason were a thing, and this is before I guess they knew that they were related, and she was impregnated by her cousin, which again is like a problem, but not the big problem that a lot of people in Riverdale make it out to be. I guess the babies turned out fine. Betty's mom does not get nearly enough to do in these early episodes.
She
She just busts
doesn't.
in and then
But
has to.
she walks into scenes great and she leaves scenes great. Let's be honest.
She does. She does. A lot of this is about whether or not Veronica and Betty are going to be friends, kind of. And it's very interesting now because now we see them and they're like supposed to be friends, but they still argue all the time. And when they argue, Betty always calls Veronica a stuck up bitch. But I feel like they are good friends. Veronica is a good friend to Betty. Would you say that's true?
I I want to say that, like, this scene right now between them with them in the hallway,
Yeah.
like Veronica talking to Betty makes me like Veronica so much.
Yeah. Yeah. She reaches
She's
out.
like, she's so supportive. This is when Reggie was still played by Ross Butler.
That's right.
Yeah,
And Chuck is there with Veronica. Veronica and Chuck are really hitting it off.
that's
It's
because of the next episode is the Chuck and Veronica episode, the date.
Yep, they were setting that up. It's funny because they have more background people in this than I feel like we see now. Like extra football guys around and people walking through the shot. They like use the extras in a different way.
I do have to say they're about to have the fight. I remember enough of this episode to remember that, and I do like Reggie number two better. I
Yeah.
do, yeah. Not that I don't like Ross Butler, because he does an episode in season 2 of 13 Reasons where he's so good. He's like the whole episode, and you don't even realize that like he's such a good actor, and he's just so much physically bigger than Archie too. Ross Butler is so tall.
He's a little I think he's just got a tone that's not exactly right. Like he's just a little too mean.
He
Um
is, yeah. There's something like very mischievous about Charles Milton, right?
yeah,
Is
for
that
sure.
that's the guy? There's something about him where he's like everything. It's like when his face is like in a perma smirk, right?
Yeah, he's just
And
sort
it's
of like
like,
I'm fucking around. Yeah.
yeah,
So Archie gets in a fight with Reggie because Reggie is like Jughead's the killer. And he's just fucking around, but Archie doesn't like it.
it was nice that Archie defended Jughead's honor. I think.
Yes.
Oh my
He's a
god,
good.
the second episode is putting Rose to sleep, gentle
It's,
listeners.
you know, after it's all the insane things that go on to happen, this is a very tame episode of Riverdale. All we've got is like a little fist fight and sage burning and like one cousin straddling another. This is nothing.
I
This is
like this. I do like this old school like Luke Perry coming in and being Archie's dad. Like the show has lost that so much.
yeah. Yeah. There's this like then this is a great scene from the second episode. They do have a football game, pep rally.
Oh, this is when Cheryl runs off. Do you
Yes.
remember this? This made me feel for Cheryl.
So this is a big scene, huge amounts of extras. Everybody's going into the stands at the football game. Everybody's running onto the field and playing, getting ready to play their football. It looks very intense. Um, Everybody's parents are there. Grundy's there. Archie, don't go up to Grundy. Just fucking don't. Don't
Why
sleep
is
with
she
her.
at that place with the cups?
I guess she was like manning the cups table.
They're
Like, I
they're
don't
like
even.
in full view of everyone in the stadium.
Yeah,
Like all of the audience people have their eyes on them.
it's like they went in front of the whole crowd to have this conversation. He could have just texted her.
God, though, if I was Grundy, I'd bang Archie. Like,
Oh,
I know that's so controversial, but he looks great in that football uniform.
sure, but Grundy is an adult woman. She should not be doing that.
Well, I'm glad I'm not an adult woman. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yay, yay.
Yeah,
So,
Jughead is just a little too snotty. He's like, girl trouble. Yeah,
yeah, he's like mad
weird.
at Archie for getting a girlfriend, honestly, even if the girlfriend is an adult woman that he shouldn't be sleeping with. Jughead, you don't have to be so snotty
I,
about it.
I think, like, in retrospect, it was like, you got to think, like, Jughead is living in the drive-in and doesn't really, like, his dad is a mess. And this is like before he had the serpents and before he had anyone. He really like he only had Archie for like a really long time.
Yeah, yeah. And Jughead looks so cute because he and Archie make up and they look so cute and smiley
They
to
do
each
look
other.
I really think I sometimes I think Archie and Jughead have the best chemistry in the show. I really
They do.
do.
They're good bros. Um, Betty looks great in her little cheerleading uniform.
Betty
You're right.
looks Betty looks so good. Oh my god, that way she touches his face.
It's very romantic, Archie and Betty. Archie and Betty are going to happen, and it's going to be terrific. I can't wait to
I
see it.
see this is also is this the first Mayor McCoy?
Mayor McCoy is at
I
this
don't know
football
that I
game.
don't know that she's in the first episode. She might
It's
not be.
pouring rain.
She's
It's
got a great
pouring
umbrella.
rain. They all have umbrellas, but it is pouring rain for this football game, a pep rally, whatever the fuck it is. But they're going to have this pep rally no matter what. They're dedicating the evening to the memory of Jason. And Cheryl is really on edge, really upset. Obviously, she should be. It's your brother. The football coach was this like dude who I don't think they ever brought back, but
No.
he was just like a stand-in coach guy. Josie and the Pussycats get up there to
Oh,
do
I just saw Clifford. I
Candy
saw
Girl,
Penelope and
right?
Clifford at that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry.
You know
It's
what? I feel like we don't have enough cheerleading numbers from the Vixens.
no, I'd love to see more. I'd
Yeah.
love to see more. Josie and the Pussycats and the Vixens. I'd love to see more big dance numbers. That would be terrific. They're singing Sugar Sugar, made a hit by the Archies. These girls are in pouring rain. Was the pouring rain on purpose, do you think? Or did they
Oh,
just
here she goes. Oh, they're wiggling their butts again.
they are wiggling their butts at Veronica? Um, was this pouring rain on purpose, or did this just happen?
I feel like the lights, the heavy lights, and the equipment of the Pussycats is all in danger in this
Yeah,
rain.
they would not let teenagers just play on electrical instruments while they were being rained on, but I guess they did. Like, and then Cheryl goes up to the Pussycats, and Josie gives her a big hug, her good best friend Josie, which at the beginning, again, inexplicable. For years and months, they don't talk about their very close personal relationship. It's just there in the background, which I loved. It was really cute. Like, that's the first time you see Cheryl smiling and feeling happy. And then the Bulldogs take the field, and Cheryl sees Archie's black eye, but she's really seeing her brother Jason and missing him, and it's so sad. And remembering when they walked down to the river dressed all in white. Now, knowing Cheryl Blossom, like at the beginning, I was like, that is too extra. Why would she have done that? But knowing her now, 100% she would have walked down there dressed all in white.
It was hard for me early in the show to get a read on Cheryl, and I will say that I got that it was a character that was like connected to the plot, right? Like, here's the thing, like season 5 Buffy, you've got Dawn, and like you can love or hate Dawn, but she's part of the plot. You know that like Dawn is there for a reason. And
Yeah.
it's weird, but like Cheryl Blossom was here for that part of the story, right? And then I I feel like we gloss over this a lot, and I have to go back to it in our podcast, Rose. But like the end of this is that Cheryl is so despondent and so obliterated emotionally that she tries to kill herself. And that's like the end of her first season arc. And then it's not only that we like discover that she had such a poor home life, but it's that she like had these secret gay feelings, and that was a large part of, I think, why her family treated her the way that they did. Like Penelope clearly knew that she was that way, and that was part of her problem with her. And it's sad. I think it's sad.
It's really sad. Cheryl sobs in the locker room. I'm alone. I'm alone. Jason was supposed to come back. I'm alone. And Veronica comforts her, which is very nice. But it is sad. Cheryl is alone at this time. She doesn't have any friends. Her family is not nice to her. She can't trust anybody. And her brother is dead, and everybody's being mean about it. It's really sad. And I'm so glad that Cheryl develops from there. But it's sad now that we know like how alone she truly was.
It's weird how much like Veronica's like everybody's mom early in the show, right? It's like she's like Betty's mom. She's like Cheryl's mom.
Yeah, she's their daddy. She takes on that role in Riverdale until her dad gets out of jail. And then Veronica and Betty go for a milkshake, and they decide, I guess, that they're going to be friends, and they just sip their milkshakes companionably and cutely at one another.
I've done this with people though, and I do feel like I was the Veronica to your Betty. I feel like when we met, you were also like, who is this weirdo? And then I was like, we're gonna be friends. And I just zeroed in on you, and that's what happened. I've totally Veronica lodged you.
Wow. I guess that's a positive treatment. I've never received any pearls from you or anything like that.
It's true. I should have sent you yellow.
Your parents' credit cards to pay my parents' medical bills. That's true. What I call it.
Should I have sent you yellow roses?
No.
Would that have helped? Like if you got those at the Gay Center library that were delivered to you, and it was like /R, would you have been like, who are these from?
Yeah, I definitely would have been. Archie and Jughead walk in, and they want to sit down with the girls, but they're like, I don't know, are they going to let us? And it turns out that Betty is the one to say, okay, come on, guys, sit with us. And Archie sits with Betty, and Jughead sits with Veronica, which is interesting, but I guess they're setting them up to be a foursome.
I think this was because they were still dealing with the Betty Archie of it all, right?
Yeah, so exactly.
It was supposed to show that they were like okay together.
Exactly. Their science teacher's name is Dr. Phylum.
I know. I'm sure that's from the comic. That must be a nod.
God, oh my God.
It's like Cheryl having her hair to the left side every time she gets up is so strange.
So
yeah, don't they arrest her?
The sheriff comes, and Cheryl's like, you're here for me, aren't you? And she just gets herself ready to be arrested and says that she's guilty. And you're like, guilty of what? And they do take Cheryl away, not in handcuffs.
God, she looks great in slow motion.
Cheryl looks terrific. And it also is revealed that Jason did not die on the 4th of July. He died a week later. So the mystery really does ramp up toward the end of this episode. Like that is like, what? Now I got to watch it. This is how they hooked people. Because you're like, okay, this is good. The 7 minutes in heaven and the drama between the kids. But then suddenly you're like, wait, what? Cheryl did it? Like, what's going on? And at that time, you didn't know Cheryl like that. And you don't know who she is. And she seems very unhinged. And she was menacing Betty, and like you don't know where it's gonna go. So they really did hook people in. I could see why we got into it.
Well, that's episode 2.
That was episode 2. Gayest moment of the episode.
Oh yeah, I even okay, so clearly how sweaty Archie was
No,
at the
that's not
beginning.
clearly it. It's when Cheryl sits on Betty to do her makeup.
Okay, okay. I have one. I'm gonna up you. Okay, it's when like Jughead and Archie make up like right before the big game, and then Jughead says something about how they're gonna eat so many burgers, and
Yeah.
then Archie like runs back onto the field. The camera stays on Jughead, and then he like smiles a little.
Yeah, no, that was pretty gay.
Yeah, that was my gayest moment.
I think you might be right. You might win that. You might win that. I mean, there's the actual gay text of when Moose like propositions Kevin, but Archie and Jughead grinning at each other cutely probably was gayer than that. And was it a Betty or a Veronica episode?
I have to give it to Betty in
Yeah,
this one for me.
she was amazing. She's great. Lily Reinhart, you are killing it. You've been killing it since the jump. And her performance as Betty, I think, is one of the things from the beginning that's making it something that people are going to want to come back to.
When she said she's gonna kill Cheryl if she doesn't get out of her house, I absolutely 100% believe that she would.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she goes from being like this innocent to being somebody who's just like a little sneaky to being somebody who's literally threatening to murder to being somebody who's like lovesick. Like all of the things that she does, you believe. And you're like, what is this girl? I need to know more. And I'm glad that we have gotten to know more. I love it. I love it. I do want to see her and Archie together one day. I don't know.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know if I was like alone in
No, I
this.
want to see it. They have chemistry, and I'd love to see them explore. Like, because how would you not get Archie and Betty together? I've always been more of an Archie and Betty, like in the original comics and like all that. I always feel like Betty's the one who has to win. But I don't know. I guess we'll see where we go with Riverdale. Do you have any recommendations or things that you want to tell people about this week?
Uh, I did watch the new episodes of Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah, I did too.
And they're great.
I laughed out loud a couple times. I always laugh out loud at Kimmy Schmidt.
I was telling David, I kind of hope they make a Titus spinoff where it's just like Titus's acting career. I would be into that.
Titus and Jacqueline, I would watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that David has been on a kick of watching old Buffy episodes
Okay.
because he made dinner one night and we started watching the Vampire Willow episode, Double Gangland from season 3.
Classic.
And now he is because he was like put on a good Buffy episode and he put it up. And then he's now on season 5. He watched all of the rest of 3 and all the rest of 4. But I think part of the reason he's watching it is because I will wake up in the middle of the night, I'll come into the room, I'll look at what he's watching, and then I'll immediately start quoting Buffy, which I can do I can literally do in my sleep. So I think he's like, the other thing is he'll try to quote Buffy and then I'll correct him. And he both loves it and hates it at the same time, if that makes sense. So he's on Real Me, and we have a particular love of harmony. So I'm very excited to watch that with him. I think later tonight. So Buffy, I would say Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's people out there in the world who haven't seen it, and why? I just started following Charisma Carpenter on Instagram, and it's everything I ever wanted it to be. She's so funny.
I will have to check that out. And Buffy is a timeless recommendation. I saw a bunch of people the other day wearing Buffy shirts. I saw like 2 or 3 people like one random day wearing Buffy shirts. And I'm like, yeah, like everybody get out there with that Buffy. It was just, it's good. It's good that that's still something we can all turn to in our times of trouble. And I love season 5. I actually really like season 5.
I do too. I was telling him how much I like season 7, which is an unpopular opinion, but I liked it.
Maybe I'll have to watch it again. I liked Faith in season 7.
Yeah. When she comes back, it really is, it's as good as you want it to be.
Yeah. That was a good part of season 7. I like some things that happened in season 7. I think it's like when you didn't know where it was going to go, it was hard, like it was like hard to hold on, and it got really dark, and it got upsetting, and of course certain things happen that many people have hard times with. So I think when you weren't sure how it was going to land, it got a little uncomfortable there for a while, to say the least. But it turned out okay. And maybe like now knowing what's going to happen, I could enjoy it more.
It's in all the things that deserve a revival, or yeah, like they'll never do it because Sarah Michelle Gellar will never do it.
They
like
should never revive it.
20 years from now, I wonder if she'll do a complete 180, or they would do it without her. I will say, if you guys didn't watch, like, it's so controversial and so upsetting because of the real life situation, but if you didn't watch the new episodes of Roseanne, it really was like again, I don't think they're going to do any more of them.
No, they're going to make a show with the other ones without her.
I know, but still has proprietary rights on all the different people. So the only one thing that they didn't do correct was, like, Laurie Metcalf didn't really have her own thing. Mm-hmm. Like, she didn't really get to be, because they didn't do enough of them. I would just argue that they didn't focus on her. But you can tell that Whitney Cummings' writing is in it. You can tell that a lot of it was Sarah Gilbert. Like, a lot of it was Sarah Gilbert. And it's almost that she comes back as the main character, which in a lot of ways makes sense, I think. Right. And that Roseanne is not really a relatable figure in a lot of ways. Like, the last one that they did, John Goodman, is just so good. Like, Emmy deserving.
I always liked him. I've never been a big Roseanne fan. Obviously, she's also, as a person, a crazy racist and also just a crazy person. So, I mean, I don't think that that's the best kind of person to go handing a bunch of money to make content. But I understand that a lot of people feel connected to these characters and want to know where they were at. And it's interesting to see where they're at and how they react to different times. I did not watch it because I just never really cared. But I can understand what you're saying. I don't think that I would like to see a Buffy update, though. Like, I'd rather think of it in my own mind and, like, have my own thoughts on it, because I think if they actually ever did something like that for Buffy, it would just be, we would never all agree. And I mean, there's the comic books that are out there that do continue what's up with them. I'll check in with them, but I don't really agree with all that. So I'd rather just go with what's in my own head for Buffy. I don't want to see them go back to it. I want to just leave it like it is. It's not.
They've talked a lot about rebooting it, about having another high school girl and then redoing the whole thing from scratch. And, like, I would watch it, I think, but
it wouldn't work. It's just like the Xena reboot. It's not going to work. It was a special time, and it worked the way it worked at that time. I don't think you can do another story. You can have girls fight vampires. You can do a lot of other shit, but I don't think it's going to go the same way.
I will say my dad on opening night wanted to go see Jurassic World.
Yes.
And I went to go see it. So I took him. And I don't know if have you seen it yet?
I've not seen it. Okay. I want to see it. I'm a big Jurassic fan.
Okay, so I will say this. I guess I was not prepared for the emotional journey that I was going to be on in this movie. I absolutely do not lie to you.
Wow.
One of the things so sort of an early premise of this is, like, the island that they all live on, a volcano's erupting on it.
You mean?
Yeah, so like, where the first, like, the Jurassic World, the reboot movie, so it was abandoned, and then there's this, I guess there's, like, this epic debate in the world when you start this movie on whether or not these animals that were genetically engineered, they refer to the dinosaurs a lot as, like, animals, or I think they called them de-extinct at one point. I thought that was interesting. So whether or not they should be preserved and maintained and saved.
No, why would you save them? No.
Okay. So you find out that Bryce Dallas Howard's character has really taken this journey. This is all in the first, like, 20 minutes, is that she has dedicated her life from surviving this into trying to help the animals there because she feels a responsibility towards them. And like again, this all very early in the movie because there's a whole post movie. You're kind of seeing like two movies when you watch this. Is that the volcano erupts and some of the dinosaurs die from volcano, and it is like I needed time away from watching the movie. Like it was so upsetting. And
Wow.
there's like a whatever the brontosaurus is now, the brachiosaurus, the really tall one, and there's this one of like him on the dock, like as the boat is going away, and he's like making this noise, and then you see him kind of in volcanic ash collapse, and it is so upsetting. Like these are fictional CGI characters, and I'll just say that it's not the only upsetting part of the movie. And then the best part was I talked to my dad after this, and I was like, this movie raised a lot of moral and ethical problems that I had that we don't have time to go into.
Jurassic Park overall does bring up a lot of ethical issues. And I've been listening to a podcast, it's called See Jurassic Right. And they go through talking about all the properties of Jurassic Park. They talk about Congo, they talk about other Michael Crichton stuff, and it really is a very strange mythology that Michael Crichton lays out, because it's like, do you love science? Do you hate science? Do you love scientists? Do you hate scientists? Do you think they should be doing these things or not? And it's like never clear. He always presents like they do it, and then you love why you love the dinosaurs and the fighting the dinosaurs. It's all like fun. But then there's always somebody there like, this was a terrible idea. But then they always just go back and do it again. And so it's very, it's all a thorny ethical problem in Michael Crichton's world. And it never really makes any sense.
I do have one more recommendation. So I would say see Jurassic World. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And Chris Pratt is funny in it, but also thoughtful. And Bryce Dallas Howard, like always, I think deserves more credit than she gets. In the first one and in this one in particular. But because compounding on the Michael Crichton thing, the minute we end this podcast, I'm going to watch the season finale of Westworld. And Westworld had a very uneven second season, but I was like, it's going to come back, and it did. And I will just say, Thandie Newton on Westworld as Maeve, as the madam in the whorehouse, Rose, there's a whole episode where they go to like another side of the park, and it's all feudal Japan.
Yeah, I've heard she's wearing other lands now. Yeah.
So she figures out that she gains the ability to command. She's a robot, and she gets like the ability to command other robots with her voice. And she finds out that when she's in feudal Japan, she needs to speak Japanese. So there's this whole her commanding the other robots in Japanese. So they get attacked by ninjas. This is like in the 5th episode, and one of them is like strangling her. And then you start hearing like whispers, like they do like this audio thing. And then she looks at one of the ninjas, and it stabs itself in the head. And then like there's this programmer guy that she's taken sort of hostage, and she tells him, you can go off on your own and take your chances. And he's like, we should all stay together. And then he's like, what happened with that ninja? Like, how did you command him without speaking? And then she just leans in and goes, I think I'm finding a new voice. And you're like, all I want is this woman in this show. And then Anthony Hopkins has come back as this weird robot. He like programmed all of them. Yeah. And he dies at the end of the first year, spoiler alert. But he comes back as sort of this weird ghost, like in the different code of different robots. And he has this whole thing in the second to last episode where he says that Maeve was his favorite. And you're like, my favorite. But Celia Ward also plays Ed Harris's wife in this one episode, and Celia Ward is so good. It's like drop everything you're doing and watch her in this thing. Like,
I've always loved Sula Ward. I've never watched Westworld. Somebody else was just saying today, watch Westworld. I feel like it's a little much for me, but maybe I'll watch an episode and see where it takes me.
I would say it talks a lot about it makes you think, and I think the show is very visual, and they had I will say, watch the first year of it. The first year of Westworld is tight. You do not know where it's going, and then it has an end. And the problem is that the second year, they didn't know what to do with what they did. And then it's been, I don't want to say it's a mess, but it has not been as tight as the first year.
Right.
But I want to see where it's going.
Okay. I'll think about checking it out. It's still maybe a little much for me, but I'll consider it. I have heard many good things. I went to see Ocean's 8 this week.
I heard it's gay.
It's so gay.
I heard that.
It's so gay. I mean, everything that happens in it, if it's not because of lesbians, I don't have any explanation for what just happened. But I loved it. It was very entertaining as a heist movie. I mean, I think it's like, it reminded me of like Xena, where maybe you don't think it's gay. Like, they don't say anything is gay. They don't say these two women had a long-standing lesbian relationship with each other. They don't say they were fucking. But if you've ever known, if you know that two women could be fucking, these two women are. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, they have a long history of some kind of intimacy, and then they resume this relationship in some way. And then also everybody else is also pretty gay, like in different ways. Like, you're like, oh yeah, she used to have something going on with her, or like maybe these two are having a fling right now, or like this one and that one, it's probably just a one-off, but it really opens up her world. Like, there's always, like, there's a lot. There's a lot. Jen. Yeah, she's been in here. But so I liked it for all of the lovely ladies in suits looking fucking badass while I was assuming they were lesbians, and they stole a bunch of jewels, and it was great. Loved it. Lots of fun. I afterwards, I was immediately like, I'd love to see the fan fiction. Type the Tumblr. So that's the level I was at with that. It was fun. It was a good time. They all look terrific.
I want to see it.
You should go see it. Let me know your thoughts on who in that movie was gay. And the answer is everybody.
I'm kind of excited that Helena Bonham Carter is one of the women.
She's good. She's good.
Yeah. She's
not like the most, like, there's so many people in it. There's so much going on. So many terrific ladies. She's good. I could see. Oh my God, I fell.
Yeah, just cut out. Came back.
Anyway, I should go.
I know, I'm sorry, I kept you up late.
It's okay. It's been a pleasure. I will see you in Ogunquit.
Yes.
I can't wait. Are we going to podcast there?
Yeah, we'll do a live podcast, right? OG. And I want to come up and maybe have dinner with you when Liz is there. If that's okay.
I'll tell you what day she's going to be there then. I'll find out for sure.
So ask her if it's okay.
Yes, I will. I'll let her know you want to get on her busy social calendar.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Good night.